Hi, this is Marc Sims asking a few questions, just a few questions from Chicago, from the south side of Chicago. I have Sergio Mims on the line. Sergio Mims is the co-founder of the Black Harvest Film Festival, and I think he's very happy today because his buddy, Kamala Harris, or Kamala Harris. Which one is it, Sergio? Sergio.
It depends if you're talking to a black audience. It says Kamala, and if you talk to a black, it is Kamala, So
Doesn't matter. Well, Senator Harris from California is out. She has left the building. What you think about that, Sergio Mims?
Well, it was inevitable. She ran a bad campaign. She ran a terrible campaign. I don't know why people don't want to admit that. She ran a terrible campaign. What was her message? She didn't have a message. She kept changing her mind all the time about position. She kept changing her mind about various positions that she had on Medicare for all and all that. And then what really happened is that the donor class for the Democrats, just like there's a donor class for the Republicans, but the donor class for the Democratic Party, they were in love with her in the beginning of the year. They fallen out in love with her. They saw her as a loser, so they pulled out. And she said, I'm pulling out because I can't raise the money. I'm not a billionaire. Well, that's a cheap shot because Elizabeth Warren is not, and she's got a lot of money. Bernie Sanders is not. He's got a lot of money. But they looked at her and they said, you know what, we're just not in love with her anymore, so she just couldn't raise money, and she's out.
Yeah, even if she went for the hope and change message, nothing against President Obama, but we've been through the hope and change. So you got to come up with something different. And she didn't have it.
No, she didn't have it.
Yeah, I was about Miss Senator Harris. My thing about her is that I was always suspect because you're talking, but what are you actually saying? And are you saying something that touches me? My thing is I want to see. I don't think we're gonna get Medicare for all right away. It may take 20 years, but I want people to start talking about it. I think that with all this AI, we're gonna probably need some form of universal basic income on some level in certain parts of the country. We need to talk about that because we're going to have some that people are not going. Some people like me who ain't got no skills, no education, are not going to be able to make a decent living, and it's going to get worse with all this AI for a certain segment of Americans. We need to talk about that. And if you're not talking about those two subjects, I really don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear anything you have to say. A clear message. So you're still voting for Mayor Pete, though, right?
No, I was not for Mayor Pete. Boy, we may need a longer show.
No, keep going. We got time.
Okay, but Mayor Pete, I said this on our mutual friend show. He's not getting black support, and it's not because he's gay. I'm sick and tired of people saying, well, the reason he's not getting black support is because black people are homophobic. So we're the only homophobic people on the planet. White people are not, Hispanics are not. No, it has nothing to do with him being gay. If that was true, then Lori Lightfoot we wouldn't have elected Lori Lightfoot president. The reason why
Mayor of
is
Chicago.
Because,
I know what you mean, Mayor of Chicago.
Right. The reason why he's not getting black support is because, once again, Councilman Kamala Harris, he's not really saying anything. He's very good at word salad. And number two, his record in South Bend as mayor, particularly among the black community, is abysmal. When last week, it's not even last week, earlier this week, he said that he didn't know that South Bend schools were segregated. Well, he's the mayor of the city. He just now realized that. He didn't know. His attempts to black outreach have been really, really clumsy. And black people look at him and they say, well, he's just, once again, another overprivileged white guy. If you look at his background, overprivileged, he had it made all his life. How does he relate to ordinary people? How does he relate to me? Black voters are like any other voters. They want a winner.
People want to vote for somebody who want to win. Go ahead.
Right. When Kamala Harris pulled out, I've been hearing these complaints about, well, it's really a shame that she had to pull out because it's this lack of person. She didn't get any black support. And the reason why she didn't get any black support is because black people looked at her record, particularly as a prosecutor. Black people looked at her and smelled a phony when they saw one. And black people looked at her and said, you know what? We want a winner. Joe Biden is not perfect. We wish he was 10 years younger. We wish he was a whole lot sharper. But he's the guy who has the best chance of beating Donald Trump. And that goes true for white supporters of Bernie Sanders and Asian supporters of Bernie Sanders and Hispanic supporters of Bernie Sanders. We're all alike. He looks like a winner. He ain't perfect, but he looks like a winner.
So you're going to vote for Joe Biden for president?
Yeah. Now,
in the primary.
Thing.
Yeah, in the primary.
Here's the thing. As you know, politics is an endless game, and anything can happen in a minute. Anything can happen within a year. We still have just less than a year before the presidential election. Anything can happen. Anything. Don't forget, Lori Lightfoot, who is now currently the mayor of Chicago, at one point, she was in ninth place among all the candidates who were running for mayor. She was in ninth place. Now she's mayor of Chicago. Anything can happen.
Yeah, anything can happen. So, like right now, if the election were held today, Mayor Pete may squeak out the victory. Iowa, I don't know who's going to win. You assume Bernie Sanders might win since he's next door.
I didn't say that.
Oh, wait, well, I'm saying this. This is me now. This is me. So I'm saying, though, that whoever's going to, it's going to be probably split three-way. Those first primaries may be split by three different candidates. Then that means it'll go to Super Tuesday. That's California and a lot of other things. And since Senator Harris ain't running to California, she ain't going to win that. She ain't running nothing. But the point is that somebody's got to get some momentum. That's what I'm trying to say. Who is that candidate is going to break out and get some momentum and start rolling downhill? Because I don't care who wins, but I'm not in love with any of them. And I'll tell you my Mayor Pete story. Oh, can I tell you my Mayor Pete story now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick. I'll make it quick. I like Mayor Pete before I heard Henry Davis, the Councilman Henry Davis of South Bend, speak ill and bad things about Mayor Pete. But I was in South Bend. I liked Mayor Pete on television. He sound good. He says a lot of good things. So I was in South Bend. I went up to his office to say hi. He wasn't there. I know he wasn't there, but I left my information. They never got back to me. Not one email. Thanks for stopping by the office, Marc Sims, to see Mayor Pete. We really appreciate it. Would you like to be part of the campaign? Nothing. I got nothing for Mayor Pete. His people in his office, this downtown South Bend, they were very nice, very cordial, but I got no response. That sucks.
Well, that's common. I bet if you went to Elizabeth Warren's office, if you went to Joe Biden's office, if you went to Kamala Harris's office, you would have gotten the same response.
But they don't know that I was going to do a podcast with Sergio Mims and Ben Jaworski.
Well, maybe that would change.
Benny J. It's a lot of folks. A lot of folks are hating on, in a nice way, because I would vote for Mayor Pete if he won the nomination. But I'm saying we hating on him now because he's not doing what he's doing.
That's the other thing too, right? You got to, what's that old expression? You got to dance with the person who brung you. So at the end of the day, who the Democratic candidate is, if you want Trump out, you're going to have to vote for that candidate. You have no choice. Now, the problem, I fear, is what happened in 2016. The main reason why Hillary Clinton lost, aside from the fact that she was a terrible candidate and she was the worst candidate you could have picked, the reason she lost is because nobody came out to vote. Because when people are faced with two candidates they cannot stand, they stay home. It's not like you go to the voting booth and you vote for the person you hate less. If you understand what I mean, people just stay home. Now, that could happen again. If Donald Trump is the candidate, and right now, I say it's 50-50 that he'll be on the ballot by this time next year. Yeah. I've been saying that, and I still hold to it. 50-50. But if Trump is the candidate, and whoever the Democratic candidate is, who doesn't really excite people, people may stay at home, and Trump could win again.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but I've been wrong about a lot of other things, so you never know. My thing is I want people to focus on the issues and focus on moving forward. You have to have these issues, have to have these ideals, and you say if you tend to vote for the Democrats, I don't care, Deputy Dog or whoever wins that nomination, I'm going to vote for them, but I want to push these ideals. And people have to be able to say both things at the same time. I'm not a big fan of Mayor Pete, but if he wins a nomination, I'm going to push him on this universal health care, universal basic income. He needs to be pushed on these issues, regardless who wins the nomination. People got to focus. We focus too much on personality and not policy.
I know, that's true. But, and I've said this before, I think his big fault is, I think the gay issue will bother people. I'm not talking about black people. I'm just talking about people in general. There are a lot of people who still would not vote for a openly gay candidate. They'll vote for him in urban cities. They'll vote for him, in other places. But I'm sure there are a lot of people who have an issue with that.
Well, let's
and that's a problem.
Yeah, let's end the podcast with this. I'm not a big fan of Elizabeth Warren per se, because she's like I don't want to disrespect her. I want to call her goofy professor, silly professor. She seems like a college professor, in a weird way, in a nice way. But the thing about it, I have no problem with Bernie or Elizabeth Warren. I like to promote Andrew Yang because I like his ideals. But don't you think it's time for a female woman mayor? Mayor, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Chicago.
But
president.
If they find the right woman.
But she is
find the right woman.
Yeah, she's
so
not.
Far.
But everybody, you got to be perfect. Barack Obama was the perfect black man to be president.
Right. And the women who have run, and there have been several women who have run in the past, they all have problems. I mean, somebody once said about Hillary Clinton years ago that she reminds guys of the first wife standing outside probate court. She's a terrible campaigner, which is really amazing considering, A, she's been involved in politics for almost all her life, and number two, she's married to one of the best campaigners ever, Bill Clinton.
Ever.
I don't know how none of that has ever rubbed off on her. But she's a terrible campaigner. And Elizabeth Warren had this persnickety, wonkish schoolmarm thing that turns people off. I just literally, maybe an hour ago, heard her give a speech, and I go like, men are not going to vote for someone like this.
Oh, no. I mean, that's the problem. It's a no-brainer. The women should come out and vote for Elizabeth Warren. It's a no-brainer. But, man, she's irritating.
Right.
Very irritating. I don't want to hear her speak for an hour. Do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, I mean, no.
And, I remember when the Chicago school teachers went on strike, and she came to Chicago during a rally to, speak at a rally.
You got 1 minute left.
And she was sitting, and I know this is going to sound sexist to people. I don't care, but she was speaking in this high, screechy voice, screaming, and I said, no guy is going to vote for a woman with a voice like that. And I know women complain that you call us shrill and everything, but guys, I'm talking about men don't like that. Men don't like that.
No, they don't, and that's a problem. I don't know how she's going to fix it.
And I said, Hillary Clinton had the same problem.
Right.
And I go like, men are not going to vote for that. Because they're saying, I get that at home every day. I'm not going to get that now from president.
We can go on forever, but we got to stop. They'll cut me off in 15 minutes. And so, you know what? The thing about it is that we got to bring you back because you're good, man. I love talking to Sergio Mims, okay? Thanks, man. Have fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Sergio.